So this evening, I'm actually going to be doing an analysis of some uh, trend control techniques, or kind of like working a mature trend. I noticed a few things today in the market that was a little bit, I guess, some things that I could track or watch to help improve the profitability of the trades that I was doing. Um, One of those, we're going to go ahead and pull up Meta here. So one of the ones that I was watching, now obviously a trade has to mature or reach our white line before you can actually begin to track something, at the bare minimum. So if you notice something, I've got so the trade pulled right here. So this is the entry point right here. And the stock begins to tick down and reaches the break even point. Now, this break even point is where I'm going to want to hold on to this particular trade for the long run. And also, I move my stop loss up and click it at break even. So I'm not allowed to take any less or make any less than that. And one of the things that I wanted to kind of look at was a way to, like, what is the point where this stock might reach where I might want to actually take profit out of it just in case it doesn't go all the way. So as you can see, this is quite a good entry on this particular stock. The trade throws right here, and I purchased right on the next one, which I probably waited as this ticked back the other way a little bit, and then ended up getting in right about here. Now you can see all the way down to here is $1.71 move. So on this particular stock, I would have purchased 112 shares. And just looking at my calculator, 112 times 171, that's about a $200 profit on that stock. So one of the things that I want to note here is that I couldn't sell the stock at the bottom here. Now, I actually couldn't because my profit, or my sign of a mature trade, was all the way down here. Now, if you watch this, the stock ticks down to here and then begins to pull back to this line right here, this moving average line, and holds just for a second before breaking apart and pulling up to the top of it, and it starts to climb what you would call a bull ladder. It begins to climb the ladder here, working its way up this direction towards this much larger moving average line up here. So as it begins to do this, what I was looking at was, is there a point in here where I could have pulled profit out of this, or would I have pulled profit after this made a new high? So one of the things to note here is that as this is going down, you have a pullback right here. Now, this pullback is an obvious one because it's hitting the break-even line. So, like I said, you can't really move or adjust your break-even point at this particular point. But now we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 more giant red moves down. So this goes way down here to the bottom point before jumping to this next line to begin going in the wrong direction. Okay, so as it does this, let's just say that let's look at opening first. So if you have this one opens above this. This open is kind of like a gap up the other direction and begins to go the wrong way. Now this one down here, this one gaps down, this one gaps down, and this one opens. Look really close to make sure. This one actually opens a little bit up above and ends up going all the way down. Now you have another gap up to here, and the stock begins to tick back the other direction. So slowly, as this stock is going back the other direction, that's 70 cents on that move, that wrong direction. So let's just say right to here, this move is $1.65. That's lost, I mean, almost half, a little bit less than half of the move going back this other way in two different candles after it's done that. So if I were to sell off right here as it pulled back, when it hit this line and hesitated, this could have been the drop that I needed right here, which would have gone down and give me the mature trade. So I definitely would not want to get out at this particular point when it's holding this particular or this moving average right here. I wouldn't want to kick out right there. But as it holds, and then breaks that line right here, let's say at this break where it pulls up and hits here, this is the sign that I'm going to get another pullback, but it's actually climbed a ladder onto this first rung. Now, usually you'll have a pullback afterwards, so waiting for it to complete its pullback to here, I could have exited the trade at that particular point. So watching it hold it, it jumps across it, does a push up. When it does its pullback, I could have exited the trade right here, given me a entry point of about, or an exit point, profit taking, that would have been about $1.13 as opposed to the $1.61. Now keep in mind, you can't always make every dollar that a stock actually produces. So we know that part of that, but as this stock actually goes down, it would be nice to be able to pull some profit out of it. Now, if you study this particular trade, this comes down to here. Now, let's say it hit right here. And, you know, if we look at it, this is $1.75 or 175.39. A little bit more. I think that point is more of the half mark, like right around $1.50 is where we're hitting right there. So as the stock came down, now it's bought at 177.04. So let's just go ahead and clock that line at the round dollar mark. Let's say that's 177. Okay. Now you have a pull all the way down to the next half dollar mark. Where's that going to be at? Right there. That's its first 50-cent move. Okay. So after it did the trade, it pulled a 50-cent move before doing a pullback at that point. Now we're going to go ahead and clock another one at this and look for its next 50 cents. This is the next 50-cent move, being right here about this one. And then let's go ahead and clock another 50-cent move all the way down to there. 50-cent move. And that is it right there. Okay, so now we have three separate 50-cent moves on this particular stock before it actually begins to bounce up really strong. And one of the things I would say is that on downtrends, you can always look for like a new high. That's another way to actually escape a trade, or on the downtrend. So this one going down, the buyers or the people that were watching the stock to be doing a reversal on it would be looking for the candles to make some kind of new high. And that is this candle right here, pulling back and setting a new high right here over the top of this one. It sets this new high, which is a good sign of a good reversal. Honestly, I don't really know if I see any patterns with the three 50-cent moves. That's $1.50. If you were looking at making $1.50 on this, compared to it doing the full move. The tough part that I have here, or that I struggle with, is the fact that it did pull back and all the way to here. Now let's say you were using this moving average line as kind of like your pullback point. So the stock comes all the way down here and kind of gets far away from. Let's go ahead and measure from this moving average line. It's moved a full, basically 1% from the moving average line, and then it pulls back to here. And we pull another measurement right over here on this one. That's 78% pulled away from it. I mean, this move right here is obviously a full early morning pull away from the larger moving average line. This comes back up here and jumps across. I guess I never really foreseen it jumping across with this much pressure, jumping across this big line. If I were to wait to get out right here, then you wouldn't have made any money on this particular stock had you not have held the break-even point. And I've seen this do. I mean, that's the reason Jade has the break-even point, is because I've seen these stocks do these long moves and then pull back and then finally end up maturing on the second drop down, or even further. So again, my hesitation is in, what it actually did there. One of the things I want to pull up here, and I'll let you guys watch what. One of the things I like to pull up is, let's say Meta did a full profit one on 8/1/2022. We'll go ahead and back to the first and look at go ahead and look at where it did a full move. So right here, let's look at this one. Now this one is really clean, and you can see Jade throws an entry right about here on this. Obviously pulls back a little bit, but ends up holding. So the buy-in point is right here, and this just keeps on riding with almost no restriction whatsoever. It easily pulls, several percent move out of this with no problem, running all the way up to almost a little over 3.5%, and even continuing. I mean, look at that. That move right there is a 5% move it pulled off of that particular entry. So I have difficulty in look, it never breaks. It doesn't pull back and break that big line until it gets all the way up here, when it finally breaks that bigger, much larger moving average. So when I look at trades like this, I have a hard time going back over to like today's trade and complaining at all about this particular movement, because if you look at it, you got this whatever move here, and then of course it's going to come back up and try to jump through the line and all this nonsense. I mean, maybe it's about the earlier morning stuff, and maybe there should be a shorter line on the earlier morning. Maybe that's what the pattern is. Jump back over here and take a look at this. So this one actually throws at 8:54. Let's go look at today again. This one is at 8:37, and we end up getting a solid one at 9:09. This one at 9:05. So these throws that it does at maybe you can't really expect a full mature trade this early. Oh, sorry about that. Had you on the wrong thing. Well, sorry about that. Okay, so bump back over here to this again, which you guys have been here already. But on 8.4, you have another full profit. So transition back over here and look at 8.4. On 8.4, look at this. Look at this trade on 8.4. And again, I want to check the time. That happens at 9:04. But look at this entry. This entry right here, it doesn't come up and complain or any of that stuff. It goes down and makes a full 1.70% move right there. I mean, that's just a gorgeous trade. And it does another one, looks like on 8.5. I'm going to go look at 8.5 as well. And look at this. This one happens much earlier. You can't complain about that either. I mean, that's not none of that gibberish that we've seen in this morning's market. That pulls up, holds, and goes all the way up and does a 2.5% move. So this kind of push in whatever is not what we seen this morning in the market. We seen a lot of hesitation and faltering where the market really didn't know what it was going to do. So even though there was some good trades, I hesitate to adjust the Jade Bot at all because of this move. And this, it did hold me in. I mean, it did hold the line even though I pulled back real strong. So you can't make every dollar in the market. And yes, it would have been great for me to sell out down here. That would have been awesome. Come up here, I got another clean entry right here. But if you think about it, this one went down. I held my shares. It went all the way back up to here. When it threw again to go down, I took another trade. Obviously, I couldn't take this one because the first one hadn't. This one kind of canceled out. That this one canceled out the other one. But as it come up through here and turned around and through the reverse, it took another double the shares, doubled my shares right here, and rode it all the way down to actually take a full mature profit on both trades. So when you think about this, there was nothing wrong with the way this actually operated, even though you'd want to go ahead and take your shares right here. But at the end, you ended up getting a full, 1% or more move all the way down to there. That's a $2.31 produced on that, that full percentage. So it's hard to complain about how it actually operated, even though you'd like to capitalize on that. So that's kind of the study I wanted to do this evening, just to see if this was something you could capitalize on, or if the bot was actually doing what it was supposed to do in there. So a little bit of critiquing on that, and it looks like the bot is still operating successfully. So anyway, it's good to work through that with y'all, and hope you guys enjoyed that. And I'll see you guys in the morning.